You're scrolling through Rightmove at midnight, looking for a flat you can actually afford. You've done this before. You'll do it again next month. But here's something no landlord, no letting agent, and no politician will tell you straight. The average private rent in England just hit £1,423 a month. That's up 40% in 5 years. Wages rose 28%. Someone look at those two numbers and tell me the system is working. Right now, 11 million people in England rent privately. It's the second biggest housing tenure in the country, bigger than social housing, bigger than living with parents. And for most of those 11 million, the promise of owning a home isn't just slipping away. It was designed to slip away. Because here's what's actually happening. Your rent is paying someone else's mortgage. Your deposit is locked in a scheme you can't access. And the people writing the laws that are supposed to protect you are profiting from the same system that traps you. I'm going to show you exactly how it works, who benefits, and what they don't want you to know. By the end, you'll understand why the system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed. Let's start with the number that should make you angry. Here's the maths nobody in government wants you to do. The average renter in England now spends 44% of their wage on housing. 5 years ago, that figure was 40%. A spare room survey of over 6,500 flat-share tenants in March. 2025 found 3/4 are spending more than 30% of their take-home pay on rent. 1 in 4 spends more than half. More than half their income is gone before they've bought food, paid a bill, or put a penny into savings. Now here's where it gets cruel. The average mortgage payment for a first-time buyer with a 10% deposit is £1,328 a month. The average rent is £1,356 a month. Read those numbers again. You are paying more each month to own absolutely nothing than you would pay to own the roof over your head. The only thing standing between you and a mortgage is a deposit you cannot save, because rent has already taken everything. Think about that. The system charges you more for renting than it would cost to buy, and then it points at your empty savings account and says you cannot afford to buy. The average deposit on a first-time buyer property has climbed from £40,326 in 2020 to £45,374 by October 2025. That is an extra £5,000 in 5 years, moving further away while you stand still. In London, you are looking at £60,000 to £83,400 depending on the borough. For a nurse, a teacher, or a delivery driver spending half their income on rent, that number might as well be $1 million. Barclays found that by July 2025, only 17% of renters were actively saving for a deposit, the lowest figure in 6 months. Nearly 3 in 10 said they had given up on home ownership entirely. Not deferred it, given up. An entire generation is writing off the single biggest financial milestone of adult life because the maths does not work. Ben Toomey, chief executive of Generation Rent, put it plainly. Rents continue to rise faster than wages, swallowing more and more of income. The foundations people need to build their lives are being pulled away from underneath them. You are not failing to save. You cannot save. The rent is the reason you cannot buy, and the inability to buy is the reason you keep paying rent. The trap is not accidental. It is structural. But even the money you do hand over to a landlord is not safe. And what happens to your deposit might be the most brazen part of the whole system. Every time you move into a rented property in England, you hand over a deposit. 1 month's rent, sometimes 5 or 6 weeks' worth, transferred to a landlord or letting agent before you've spent a single night in the place. Across England and Wales, 4.7 million deposits are currently held in government-backed protection schemes. That's roughly £5 billion of renters' money, sitting in accounts that renters can't touch, can't earn interest on, and in many cases, never get back in full. The tenancy deposit scheme's own data for 2024 to 2025 shows that cleaning is the #1 reason for disputes, appearing in over half of all cases. Not damage. not unpaid rent, cleaning, a smudge on a hob, a scuff on a skirting board. Normal signs of someone actually living in a home being treated as grounds to withhold hundreds of pounds. Technically legal, morally questionable. A Generation Rent survey found that 23% of tenants experienced deposit deductions they believed were unreasonable. Of those, only 1 in 5 actually used the dispute resolution service. The rest absorbed the loss. Some couldn't afford the time. Others didn't know the process existed. And 18% couldn't dispute their deductions at all because their landlord had broken the law by never protecting the deposit in the first place. Then there's the double deposit trap. You need to put down a deposit on your next flat before your current landlord returns the old one. For someone already spending half their income on rent, that means borrowing, using credit cards, or asking family for money just to move from one rental to another. The Renters' Rights Act includes provisions for deposit portability, letting your deposit follow you between tenancies. It has not been implemented yet, and no timeline has been confirmed. Meanwhile, that £5 billion generates interest. Not for the tenants who paid it. Generation Rent has pointed out that the potential returns on deposits held across England could fund tenant support services and help low-income renters find housing. Instead, it sits there. Renters' money, working for everyone except renters. Most tenants who get unfairly deducted do not fight it. They walk away, lighter in the pocket, and start the whole process again at the next flat. And if you think your deposit is the worst thing a landlord can take from you, wait until you hear about Section 21. Imagine this. You've paid every month on time. You've kept the place clean, reported issues properly, never caused a problem. Then one morning a letter lands on your mat. 2 months to leave. No reason given. No fault alleged. Just go. That's Section 21 of the Housing Act 1988. For 37 years, it gave landlords in England the power to end any assured short-hold tenancy with 2 months' notice and zero explanation. No breach required. No justification needed. A landlord could evict you because they wanted to raise the rent, because you asked for a repair, or because it was a Tuesday. The law didn't care why. The sheer power of that right meant tenants lived in fear. Ministry of Justice statistics reveal the scale. In 2024 alone, 32,287 households received Section 21 notices. Between July 2024 and June 2025, bailiffs physically removed 11,402 families from their homes through Section 21 proceedings. That's over 30 households a day losing their home through no fault of their own. But here's what made Section 21 truly dangerous. It wasn't just an eviction tool, it was a silencing tool. Citizens' advice research found that tenants who formally complained about problems like damp or mold had a 46% chance of receiving an eviction notice within 6 months. Tenants who complained were 159% more likely to face eviction than those who stayed quiet. The message was clear. Report the black mold in your child's bedroom and risk losing the roof over their heads. No reason, no fault, no home. A quarter of all private renters, roughly 2 million people, told Shelter they didn't report problems with their housing because they were afraid of exactly this. One citizen's advice case involved a mother who contacted her council about a leak making her partner ill. The day before Environmental Health were due to inspect, her landlord served a Section 21 notice. Scotland scrapped its equivalent system in 2017. England's Renters' Rights Act finally received royal assent in October 2025, abolishing Section 21 from 1 May 2026. That is 7 years after the Conservative government first promised to end no-fault evictions in their 2019 manifesto. For the millions already displaced, the question is obvious. What took so long? The answer is sitting in Parliament. According to a Financial Times analysis of Parliament's Register of Interests, 85 MPs currently declare themselves as landlords, owning 184 rental properties between them. Their combined rental income exceeds £830,000 a year. That's just the declared figure. MPS only have to register rental income above £10,000, so the real number of landlord MPS is almost certainly higher. And this isn't a Conservative problem. Not anymore. Labour now has 44 landlord MPS, more than the Tories' 28. The biggest landlord in Parliament is Labour MP Jas Athwal, who owns 15 residential and 3 commercial properties. Chancellor Rachel Reeves declares rental income. So does Foreign Secretary David Lammy. The party that passed the Renters' Rights Act has more landlords on its benches than the party that blocked it. Think about that. The people writing the rules are profiting from the system those rules are supposed to fix. In August 2025, Homelessness Minister Rushanara Ali resigned. After it emerged, she had evicted her own tenants and hiked the rent by £700 a month. The minister responsible for protecting people from homelessness was doing exactly what the government's own legislation was designed to prevent. Jay Vale of the London Renters Union called it a blatant conflict of interest during an unprecedented housing crisis. This pattern goes back years. Transparency International found the property sector was responsible for 20% of all donations to the Conservative Party between 2010 and 2020. And 72 landlord MPS famously voted against an amendment that would have required rental homes to be fit for human habitation. They voted to keep the legal right to rent out homes that weren't safe to live in. To be fair, Labour did deliver the Renters' Rights Act. That matters. But 44 of their MPS still collect rent from tenants while voting on tenant legislation. In local government, a councillor with a financial interest can't vote on related matters. In Parliament, they just have to mention it. When the people making the rules have a financial stake in keeping them weak, reform doesn't arrive late by accident. It arrives late by design. But here's where the system is finally catching up. Credit where it's due. The Renters' Rights Act, 2025, is the biggest reform to private renting in England since the Housing Act, 1988. It received royal assent on the 27th of October, 2025, and takes effect from the 1st of May, 2026. Section 21 is gone. Rent increases are limited to once a year, with 2 months' notice. Tenants can challenge excessive hikes at a tribunal. There is a right to request a pet, and a ban on rental bidding. Discrimination protections cover people on benefits and people with children. Fines of up to £7,000 apply for breaches, rising to £40,000 for repeat offenders. On paper, it's everything renters have been demanding for a decade. But the narrative that renters are now protected is too simple. There are no rent caps. Landlords can still raise rents to market rate, they just have to use the official process. The court system is already overwhelmed, with possession cases taking months to reach a hearing. Scotland reformed its tenancy law in 2017. England took another 9 years. Wales and Northern Ireland operate under entirely different rules, and nearly a third of landlords have indicated they plan to sell their properties before the new rules bite, which could shrink rental supply at exactly the moment demand has not gone away. The law changed. The question is whether it changed enough. And on that measure, the final numbers reveal a worrying pattern. Rental supply across England is still 23% below where it was before the pandemic. Listings have barely moved. Meanwhile, amateur landlords are leaving the market and being replaced by something worse. Private equity firms, institutional investors, and build-to-rent corporations now dominate the sector, with over half of their capital coming from overseas. The individual landlord, who might have negotiated, is being swapped for a corporate spreadsheet that won't. The median home in England now costs 7.7 times the median salary. Rents are forecast to keep climbing through 2026 and beyond. And every year the cycle repeats. Higher rents, smaller savings, bigger deposits, fewer buyers, more renters, more demand, higher rents. It doesn't break, it accelerates. This isn't a housing crisis. It's a wealth transfer from the people who can least afford it to the people who need it least. What should you actually do? Read your tenancy agreement. Check whether your deposit is protected. Know your rights under the Renters' Rights Act coming in May 2026. Document everything in writing. The law is finally shifting, but it only works if you know it exists. Which part of this shocked you most? Drop a comment. If this helped you understand why the system works against renters, subscribe for more investigations the housing industry does not want you to see. Thanks for watching.